Coming up on this edition of the Mindset Podcast, episode 152, we discuss the lottery passing $600 million. We also touch on the security guard fight at the Ohio Valley Mall. Great conversation there. I think you'll agree. You're going to have to listen to that one. We also then go to Nigel Farage and NYPD pumping gas into the subways. Here's the music.
I bid you welcome.
This is BBC News from BBC World.
This is an NBC News special report.
This is a CBS News special report.
Hello, a very good morning. You're watching BBC News with Carrie Gracie and Simon McCoy.
From ITN News at 10.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. This is the Mindset Podcast. Coming at you. I'm Gareth Davis in Los Angeles, California, and joining me sprinkled throughout the globe, we go immediately to London, United Kingdom, and of course, the one, the only, Mr. Alex Fate. Hey, Alex.
Good day to you, sir.
Welcome back, man.
I hope you haven't got any boxes there, Gareth.
I do, actually. I have several right behind me, as you well know.
I've got this big box above me, and I was just making a nice cup of tea in the other room.
And what happened?
And the box flies off the shelf straight into my microphone. And I'm not joking.
How far away was it? Was it like it could have just fallen, just been balancing and lost its,
It's, well, I don't know what's going on. It's definitely on the shelf. It wasn't on the edge of the shelf. There's no window open, and it just fell right, smashed my microphone to pieces. So you're lucky I'm here today.
Really?
The spirits don't want me here today.
The spirits? Wow, what a trip.
Or the box. Whatever is in the box.
Greetings. Welcome to Alex Fate's house. A house of doom. All right, I'll leave it at that. But that's weird, man. You might be like a poltergeist or something.
Could be. Seriously though, it is strange because the box is well on the shelf, or it is now, and it was. So I don't know what's going on.
What was in the box? Was that the one where you
tell you what's in the box?
Was there like an animal trapped in there?
You should know better than to ask questions like that.
Hey man, what's in the box? Hey, screw the box. Just give us the wallet. All right, let's maybe Reeves would know something about this. He's a paranormal enthusiast. Let's go ask Reeves. Reeves.
Yes. Actually, I've got some questions I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
When it happened, did you have a sweaty back?
Oh God. A sweaty back.
Strangely, Reeves. This time I did not know.
Well, it most probably isn't a ghost then. Because ghosts come from sweat, apparently.
Well, apparently. So, but seriously, Alex, is anything other? I mean, is there something weird going on in your apartment? No, that came out wrong. But is there like some kind of something strange happening in the house?
Seriously, it's strange. That was because the box is completely. It's right at the back of the shelf. It's quite a large box, and the microphone is completely smashed it to pieces. And I was just in the other room, so it's nothing to do with me, and there's no windows here blowing away or anything. So.
Well, I mean, obviously the microphone's working because you're talking to us, so
I put it back together. I wasn't sure it was going to.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Well, that's a weird one.
I think it's all-night vigil at Alex's house.
At Alex's house, yeah.
If my tea starts moving, then there's trouble.
Yeah.
All right, let's shoot straight over the ocean to Florida and say hello to Joe Dunn. Hey, Joe.
Hello, Gareth. Enjoying your guys' conversation about Alex's poltergeist.
Yeah, it's haunted house, man.
Haunted house. I want to go check that out. We're going to have an all-night vigil.
We should, dude.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, Reeves, I got a sweaty back. Hot as hell.
You could be possessed then. You could be possessed if you've got a sweaty back.
So is the weather like crazy out there right now, Joe? Is it like
it's
humid and stuff?
Really humid, man.
Oh, I hate that.
Really? Yeah, it's just getting humid out.
Oh, it's the worst.
But we got sunshine. That's good.
Yeah.
Right, Alex?
You got some sunshine?
I'm still here.
Yeah, well, it's...
I heard it's sunny in London.
Is it really?
It's so hot and sunny. It's all right. It's quite pleasant, shall we say, today.
That's good. That's good to know.
For London, that's a good thing. It was meant to be pouring down with rain, so something strange. I think we've got. Joe's, you set me off on something now. We've got, what is it? The G8, the Bilderberg people.
Oh, God,
who knows who these people are? The G8, like the Bilderbergs.
They're in the UK this year. The Bilderbergs.
They're popping up to Watford, I think, north of London a little bit.
I don't know. It's like they go all over the world. They go to Geneva. They go, where are we going this year? Let's go to Watford.
But just imagine all these leaders are coming over here. Right, they're not here quite at the moment. When they do, I suspect the weather's going to turn quite nice.
Yeah, it probably will.
It did last year. I remember that.
Yeah, it tends to when they fly around en masse, and the weather gets nice.
Yeah, it's been hot here, but I'll tell you what, man. Did you guys bring this up? The Powerball. Someone won it last night.
Oh, yeah, I know.
600. We had the $600 million jackpot.
Someone
in California, dude, who doesn't live too far from me.
One person won 600 million.
Yeah.
Well, so far they said one ticket matched, so I don't know the details yet.
$600 million.
Yeah, man, that's just outrageous.
$600 million. Although that's nothing for the global elite. $600 million. I mean, they find that down the back of the couch, right? That's nothing.
No, that's nothing. But you still only get, like, if you take out the cash payout, you get 300 something because you got to pay taxes.
Well, you haven't got to, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true. Could you just transfer the money overseas?
I don't know. Well, I mean, big business does that shit all the time, right?
You can only do that if you're a corporation and you give large donations to the government in power. Well,
we have a little clip here of the Powerball, $600 million, and it might be interesting for us poor folk around the world to have a listen to. This lottery tax that goes into place every week. Let's have a listen.
Millions of dollars ready to go to someone, Zane. Odds are very long. Someone's got to win eventually, right?
Hey, Wolf, and you never know, it could actually be you. You know what they say, you do have to be in it to win it. And what tends to happen when the jackpots get this big is that people who don't usually play decide, that they're feeling quite lucky, and people who do usually play start to buy multiple tickets. But one thing I do want to emphasize is that if you are going out and buying 10, 20, 30 tickets, it is, of course, very important that you do not spend more money than, of course, you can afford to lose. Now, as you mentioned, it is $600 million. If you opt for the lump sum, you're still going to walk away with roughly around $376 million. And just to put that in context for you, that is basically enough money to give $1 to every single person in this country. And at the end of it, you would still have roughly around $60 million left over. But let's talk about chances, Wolf, and this does apply to you. The chances of winning are 1 in 176 million. Those are your chances of winning tomorrow's jackpot. 1 in 176 million. I mean, with odds like that, you are basically talking about fate. Although that is not stopping anyone. I actually asked one woman, I said, hey, if you woke up tomorrow and you had $500 million in your account, how would you spend it? Here's what she said.
I would pay off my mortgage. I would pay off my parents' house, their mortgage down the shore. I would buy a shore house myself right on the beach and definitely donate to the Cancer Society. My mother is a cancer survivor 2 times already, so I would donate to that charity and probably another charity and set up a college fund for my children.
Why do they always pick the most boring people on the planet to answer these questions?
Look, 600 million, you could raise a giant army, a huge army.
Wouldn't it be
like a Tracy Island?
Wouldn't it be great if they said, and I asked this person what they would do with $600 million? What would you do? And he would say, I would give it to Islam.
Millions of dollars.
It's unbelievable.
That would be crazy.
But I think that if they did interview somebody like that, and they said, what would you do? And they said something outlandish, they just wouldn't air it.
They would cut that out.
They'd cut it out. They got to ask someone who's.
Then they'd be suspected as a terrorist.
Yeah.
They've got to choose someone who's going to conform completely with the system, haven't they? They're going to pay off the mortgage, give to charity,
right.
help poor starving children. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's a good.
I mean, you could do a lot of good with that kind of money, and the interest alone, you could give to people and help a lot of people who are down on their luck, who haven't got anywhere to live, or you could, even the interest alone on that kind of money would be outrageous. I mean, but the thing is, it's obvious that if you win that sort of money, you're going to pay off the mortgage. You're most probably even just going to give your house away to someone and just go off somewhere else. You know, all joking aside, it's kind of like they're asking the obvious questions. You know, what would you do? Oh, I think I would most probably buy a ticket for a once in a lifetime trip into space if I could. Do something a bit outrageous. You know.
Yeah.
I think it's curious how cancer's mentioned though as well. It's which of the places, what of the charities would you do and give to now? And it's cancer is increasing all the time.
The thing is, though, that lady was only blabbing about cancer because one of her relatives had it. You know, it's unbelievable how many people get wrapped up in certain diseases and causes because either themselves or their relatives get it. It always gets me.
I wonder, a lot of cancer research, for example, and places like that get money. Do you think, in a way, that's a form of tax?
Well,
because, as you said, if funding like that was being given properly through our tax system, we wouldn't need these donations.
Yeah, exactly. The whole, I've said this millions of times, it's like the whole charity system they shouldn't exist. I mean, that's what we got governments for, to take care of all that shit. You know? I mean...
But unfortunately, the biggest place the money goes is for war.
All it's doing is just it's just abdicating responsibility from the government. It's like, oh, we're going to make a charity for that. Oh, cool. All right.
Hey, we don't have to really hear individuals giving money to the war campaign, do you?
No.
I'd buy a few missiles for some invasion. I mean, liberation.
And what would you do with the money?
Whatever you want to call it.
I would give all the money to our troops. To fight in foreign wars. Please.
That's curious, isn't it? You just don't hear people offering for that.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of people campaigning for, stronger forces and such like.
Well, I mean, the amount of money they spend on military, I mean, it's
outrageous.
It's trillions of dollars.
Yeah, but people could still feel the need to, I had somebody who was injured in a war, for example, a new relative like that, like her relative was hurt through cancer.
Yeah.
That they could still want to give the money to some war effort of some sort, or something for widows, or But the cancer is the thing that people, I think, if you, it's a little bit in a way. If you give money to an organisation like that, it's a safe way of giving money, isn't it? No, don't get me wrong. That person had relatives that were
sure.
Maybe killed through cancer, so it's a very serious thing. But it's a safe. Safe way of dealing with guilt as well, isn't it?
Everything she said was safe, though, Alex. Everything.
Yeah.
I'd pay off the mortgage, I'd do this. I mean, come on, please. Let's let somebody with a bit of fucking imagination, let them win. Somebody who can do so, with that amount of money, right? $600 million. That's more money than you're ever going to need in your lifetime.
Yeah, I'm going to set up my own organisation for alternative medicines linked to and alternative therapies linked to cancer.
What if they interviewed someone? They said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to donate all of it to create sources of free energy."
Yeah, donate everything.
Yeah, because I mean, if you had $600 million and you donated 90% of it, I mean, you'd still never have to work again.
Oh God, you still have a load of them. You could donate, like I was saying earlier. Just imagine what the interest on that would be.
Well, that's the thing. This brings up a really good point, right? Because $600 million. I mean, for a single person to have that much money, that's a vast amount of money from our perspective, right? But I mean, there are certain people in the world, the top 1%, where $600 million is nothing. It's a drop in the ocean. They have hundreds of billions of dollars. They got more money than we can even comprehend. Why? Why do you need that much money? Like I just said, if you had $600 million, you could give away 90% of that and still live in luxury for the rest of your life and never have to work.
I'll tell you one reason for it.
Sorry.
Wait, who's going to go first?
I'll let Reeves, please.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I was just going to say that to add to what you just said, $600 million on one person to win it. Why not everyone wins $1 million? You could live reasonably comfortably on $1 million for the rest of your life. Why not do that? And they give more opportunity to more people to win, to enhance their lives. Because it's just a crazy. It's like when they run. What was it? 93 million euro, or over here when they had the Euro, it was last year, a couple won it. Just crazy amounts of money. It's unbelievable. I can't fathom those kind of amounts of money.
Let me before Alex jumps in here, I just want to say what this does also. The fact that so many people, I mean, on the news over here, they were filming lines around the block, people, queuing up, lining up to buy a lottery ticket, and this was the same throughout the country, right? All these people lining up to get this one shot, that maybe I'll win. I mean, that really does illustrate how many people want to get out of the rat race. How many people hate their fucking jobs, are doing it just to survive, right? I mean,
totally.
Because if you were working in a job that you loved and you were making a comfortable living, you wouldn't give two fucks about the lottery. I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to wait in a line for 5 hours to buy some ticket? You're fucking crazy. Fuck that. Right? But the fact that people are there, it shows you how many people exist in this world that are barely surviving, have little to nothing, or are working in jobs that they absolutely despise, but have to do it. Go ahead, Alex.
Also, security as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I'll turn this on its head a little bit.
Okay.
And instead of the people having something, money, what they really have is control. And one of the ways they have that is by, if they've got it, somebody else doesn't. And that's all these people who are desperate to change their lives because they don't have those resources.
Right.
So if this 1% can keep control of those resources, they've got control of the rest.
Sure.
Of the people. And I mean, if you go back a long, long way, there used to be people, I believe, we could say some of the Illuminati. And they would have traded resources, gold and silver. But they would have taken gold from the West and taken it to the East. And they would have taken silver from the East and taken it to the West. And they would have done this over generations, and they would have built up huge resources.
Oh, absolutely.
Huge value. And the people in those countries and the ever-increasing surrounding areas end up with less and less.
Well, this week, interestingly enough, this week, the big news, I don't know about big news, but it made the news that Bill Gates, the Microsoft guy, is once again the world's richest man. And I was laughing at this because this is absolute fucking nonsense. What they should say, if they want to do this legitimately, is say, and Bill Gates is once again the world's publicly acknowledged richest man. Because privately, there are people and or families that could buy and sell Mr. Gates in a fucking heartbeat.
That's true. So he doesn't have the control is what you're going to, right?
Even though he does, there are families on this planet that have been extremely wealthy for generations, for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. Now, if you think if your family has always been powerful and always been wealthy and always been very business savvy, and you're around for say 100 years or 200 years. You're going to amass wealth that's off the fucking charts. And you're not going to want that to be public. You're not going to, when Forbes does, they're the richest people in the world are top 10 richest. You're not going to want your name in that fucking list.
Garrett Davis.
Yeah, no. Right. But you're not going to want your name in that list. Right? So all these people that they say, and the top 10 richest people in the world are blah, blah, blah from Saudi Arabia and Bill Gates and whatever the fuck. This is just the bottom layer, the public layer, the public face of people who got a bit of cash. The layers behind them who have more money than we can even fucking comprehend. They're the ones that are behind the scenes.
Yeah, for generations, like you're saying, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And to answer Reeves' question, I think he asked about, why would you need all that money? I think it's just greed. Like we can say right now, yeah, I'd be happy just with this because we don't have it. But once you have that, I think the mindset changes. Where like you gotta maintain that security, that control. See, you want more.
That's an interesting point, Joe. I think it has less to do with money and more to do with power.
Yeah,
I think it has to do with power because you find that if you do get a little bit of money, you become a little bit freer. In other words, you can do a lot more things if you have more money. You know, if I had 600 million and I wanted to have lunch in London tomorrow, I could.
But if you look at the people homeless on the street, Gareth, they would look at you as if you're like a millionaire.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you could give up all that tomorrow, but you won't, because you want the level of life you've got now and the control over that life.
Exactly. But there's a point though, Alex, where you have enough. I mean, you know, after you buy your 6th house, I mean, how many fucking houses do you need? It's ridiculous.
No one needs to win $600 million. The most, a couple of million, and you can live very comfortably for the rest of your life.
Sure.
It all comes down. It comes down to one thing: greed. Most people, you're correct. Most people want to get out of their humdrum and get out of their life, and money does do one thing: it buys you security, and it buys you the option to do what you want when you want.
It gives you freedom.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people out there that are born into these vast amounts of money, and not only do they have monetary wealth, but they also have that kind of global elitism that comes with it.
Yeah.
But isn't it easy for us to point fingers? And don't get me wrong, I'm agreeing completely with what you're saying. There are people out there who, well, they thrive off the control, in my view. But like I say, we're all living in nice, warm houses. I've got carpets. Okay, I don't need those. And at what point am I having too much? When am I too greedy? What about all of us? We've all got so much now. We go and turn on the tap and water comes out, hot water.
Yeah, but Alex, there's definitely a level. I mean, it's like when you have, I mean, if you have $1 billion in your bank account, why would you need that if not for power?
No, I'm going to stay with my point. I think that we are all guilty of just having so much and kind of living our lives that this is what we need. This is what without this, life is unfair. It's cruel. yeah, which is bull. Yeah, we don't need half the things that we have.
Oh, I don't know, dude. You take away my internet, there's going to be issues.
Right at the top. Sorry, again?
Take away my internet, there's going to be issues.
The things you own end up owning you.
Yeah. No, I hear you, but I think you're right, Alex. But that there's still a level where it's like, you know, when is enough enough? You got more money than God, and you're still trying to acquire more. It's like it's bizarre. That to me that's insane.
I think because they've got an end game.
There's got to be.
When they're at that level and say it's about the control and it's not about the money. The money is just an ends to a means.
Right. Means to an end.
It's that as well.
But yeah,
maybe it's an ends to a mean. Maybe the money is the end. The mean is the one thing.
Could be. But yeah, it's like when you have that much money, it's I mean, you know, they say Bill Gates, the richest man in the world, he could literally donate 90% of his fortune, everything, to charity and cure cancer tomorrow, and still be enormously wealthy and live a very happy and luxurious life. But he will not do that.
He does donate. I mean, he makes it publicly
I know he does, but what he does donate, though, Bill. Why did I call you Bill? But he does. But what Bill does donate is nothing. It's peanuts. It's pennies.
Really a strong point on this, okay? Because I think there are all different things coming together in this conversation, and one of them, which I'm against very much, is he could give away his money, and so what? Do you think if he gave away all his money tomorrow, the world's going to be different? I think a lot of people want the rich people not to be there because then they'll feel we'll all be poor or we'll all be equal. But that isn't going to happen.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. It's not going to happen.
Money tomorrow, you're still going to have hospitals closing.
It's not going to happen. Of course. Yeah, no, you're right. It'll never happen. But I don't see why he could not do that.
I disagree. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. If everybody in the world just could live comfortably and be taken care of, I think the world would be a better place. I don't think it's set up that way.
It's not. Yeah.
People, there are always be a proportion of society that base their lifestyle on greed, and they always want more than the next person.
But why are we?
Everyone's like that.
We have that
Reeves.
condition in us, that greed.
Yeah, everyone is like that to a certain degree. Everyone wants to to be a little bad. Everyone wants to be. Was that living up? Was it the Joneses or something? What's that term? Keeping up with the Joneses or whatever.
If I pick on America just for Joe, just to tease you a little bit, isn't that the essence of your country? Isn't that the mindset that the foundation of the country is that everybody can make something themselves and get
you
on
can be what
life.
you want to. Yeah, be what you want to be. You have the freedom to do that.
Or I'll tell you what, maybe I'm unfair on America. Maybe isn't that capitalism? And if
as long as you play in the system,
you can't have a fair system with capitalism.
You can do what you want, but you're still in that system. You know what I mean? You still have to go follow the system, I think.
Well, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when I said, everything is a racket, everything is a scam. Every business, everything you can think of, there's always an angle, there's always something, someone's up to something, there's always some deal, some shady bullshit. Everything you can think of is a racket. And why is that? Because it ties into, I want to get something better than you. I want more of this. I want more of that. I want to better this. I want to better that. Everything you can think of, there's always some kind of scam going on. Everything, in every level of business and life, there's always some shenanigans going on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But we live in a society as well, which is based obviously on, the money system, and unfortunately, everything when it comes to personal acquisition is based on profit.
Yeah.
What's in it for me? What do I get out of it?
And I think that has shaped the way we think, our mindsets, like over time, throughout history, our civilization of how we progress.
Try and think back hundreds of years when there was no such thing as money. Only the rich had money. And the average person who was a farmer or whatever, they would barter. And they would say, well, I've got a cow and I want 2 pigs. And they would do a swap. There's no money involved. It was on a barter system. Only the rich had money and, had the gold coins and stuff. That was not something that the poor had.
Yeah.
But now everyone has got money. We work on this profit system. What's in it for me? What can I get out of it? And unfortunately, we talk about things like curing a horrible disease like cancer. There's enough money and enough science know-how in the world, not in one country, but in the world. If all the top scientists got together, I guarantee you that they could find a cure for it, or the cure would be shortcoming.
Dude,
cancer
has probably been cured years ago.
Yeah, and there's profit in it, so they won't.
Well, there's two reasons why these diseases will never be cured. Number one, you're absolutely right, profit. Right, you can make a lot more money from treating someone than curing them. And number two, cancer is a fucking great disease, dude. It gets people off the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's what they want.
It's becoming more profitable every day as well.
Yeah, so it's twofold. Number one, you make a ton of cash treating these poor bastards. And number two, well, they're going to be dead. Yippee! That's less of these fucking imbecile humans running around the place. Kill the fuckers.
And you've got Angelina Jolie.
I was just going to say,
I've got to say, mutilating herself.
I'm having my boobs cut off.
Yeah.
But I'm not actually you're not actually going to know if I had them cut off or not because that's all secret.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I was shocked when I heard that.
I want to say I think we're to blame as much as anyone else. And I mentioned capitalism, and people often then jump on the other side, right brain thinking, go, oh, he's communist. And no, I'm not a communist either. I'm not a fan of either of those systems. I mean, for example, we can have other systems if we wanted it, if we put enough energy into it, which we don't. We don't write to our MPs. We could have a lottery where everywhere could have a lottery somehow, and the money goes back into the system, and the winner takes like 1% of the winnings or something.
See, what they should do is they should have a lottery, right? It should be like Logan's Run. Everyone is automatically killed at 30, right? Everyone universally, planet-wide. Once you get to 30, you're done. But on your 29th birthday, they have a lottery, and they pull a name, and whoever wins that name can live.
Wow.
Whereas everyone else is like, later, you're dead.
But
there would be chaos.
I've got to say on this, left-right brain thinking, isn't that what the lottery even is, in the sense that we've got one side of us is, okay, we go through life in this existence fighting and struggling every day, trying to put up with it. Or we have this other, we've won and we can get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't we have something in between?
I know, I agree. I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, it's like I've often described it is that, you know, we're all on this freeway or on this motorway freeway speeding, and we're all looking for the exit. We're all looking for the off ramp because we're tired of being on this fucking speeding freeway with all these maniacs we got to deal with every day over bullshit, and we're like, where's the fucking exit? How do I get off this goddamn thing? So you play the lottery and you're hoping that you're going to win, and they're going to say exit here, so you can get out of the rat race. You can get out of the fucking nonsense you got to deal with every day, going to work and dealing with blah blah blah. Do this, do that. Here's a small amount of money. Now go do this. Blah blah blah. You know, it's like get me the fuck out of here. All right, that's my rant.
That's true. And when you're when you're driving on the interstate, and you see the billboard every day.
Yeah.
And those keep going up. The money
all
keeps
those
going
billboards.
Up. Everybody's thinking the same thing.
All those billboards, and it's like every business in the world is inherently evil because they do not want you to be happy. They do not want you to be content because you being happy or content is going to fuck with their business model. They want you to be a miserable piece of shit because if you're miserable, they can then sell you things to make you happy. All right,
exactly.
let's change.
You know, I'd say, well, in that clip you played, she said something like it would give everybody $1. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And so she's trying to tell us how useless it is to us all. That it isn't going to help us. It can't do just $1. That's what's planted in our minds. But if one person can get it all, how amazing it will be.
I'll buy that for $1.
But we've been conditioned there.
Yeah, I mean,
we've
was
been
it?
told that
I think it was
sum of money that everybody's dying for is of no use to all of us, which is just such a load of rubbish.
I think it was George Carling who said that he called the lottery "stupid people tax" because you know everyone who plays the lottery, he said, is basically an imbecile because there's no way you're going to win. It's a rigged game. It's all bullshit, and all it is a way for the government to reap enormous amounts of money from tax and whatever the fuck and getting all this and it's the dangling carrot syndrome. You know, it's offering a ray of hope to these fucking people that are just these you know the proletariat, just the proles, the fucking the unwashed masses, you know, and it's amazing because you know we've mentioned this before on the show. Reading 1984, one of the things he mentions in 1984 is that the government, you know, the party would run lotteries all the time, you know, to keep the proles focused on this nonsensical bullshit, and we see the same thing in our lives today.
We have a lottery over here, the National Lottery, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't play the lottery, so I'm not really up on it, but I know, obviously you don't play it as well, Alex, but is our lottery winnings, they're non-taxable, aren't they? You don't get taxed on these lottery winnings over here.
Oh, sorry, Reeves. Yeah, we don't get taxed. So I was slightly surprised to hear that you do. Or Joe mentioned that.
Wait, you guys don't get taxed?
Yeah, we do.
What you win is what you keep. You keep what you win.
So how does that work as far as like paying tax? I mean, if you
don't.
But like if you're self-employed in the UK, every year you got to do your taxes, right?
Yeah, but if you win such a large amount of money, I think if you win because you win it, it's non-taxable. It's a winning.
So exempt from tax if it's like a prize money. Like I think it's the same as if you go to a casino and you win lots of money.
No, that's taxable.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
In this country?
Oh, I don't know about in the UK.
Well, that's what I'm talking about in the UK.
Oh, yeah, okay. Wow, that's pretty.
It's
that's pretty
surprising that there's such a large amount of money that people will get. You know,
that's amazing. I mean, you think the government would be all up in that? You know, it's like, hey, where's my fucking cut?
Well, I'm sure there's other ways that they get money out of it. I'm sure.
Well, they probably figure like, you know, well, they got all that money, they're going to spend it. So when they spend it, we'll get our pound of flesh then, with our value-added tax and all that fucking nonsense. All right, let's get out of the lottery money business and let's talk a little bit about authority, maniac fucking authoritarian types, and security guards who go a bit mental. Now, I found this video, and this video was from the 18th of May, which was yesterday. And in Ohio Valley, in St. Clairsville, there's the Ohio Valley Mall. And they have security guards there that patrol the mall in their costumes, uniforms. And they try and keep the order, keep peace and order and blah 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 and whatever the fuck. And there was an accident, right? This truck, it wasn't like a carnage accident. It was just like this big truck, big 18-wheeler or whatever, slid off the road and went down an embankment, and it wrecked. And I don't think the driver wasn't hurt, or he was probably shaken up, but he wasn't like dead or nothing. But the truck was totaled. And a lot of people saw this happening, and they ran out to the edge of the fence, and they pulled out their camera phones and whatever, and they started taking pictures of the truck or filming. It's because it's a spectacle. You see this truck all fucking mangled and messed up, and people are taking pictures. And as they're taking pictures, along comes the security guard. Let's have a listen to what happens.
I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe you guys need to pay attention because I'm going to take all your cameras. You know what? Give me the camera. You just heard that. Guess what? What? Leave. You have no authority to do that. Yeah, I do. You need to leave. Don't take another step closer. Leave. That's assault. Leave. You need to leave. One by one, you're all leaving because you're not respecting all property rules. Hey, you! You! Leave! Oh, this is gonna be on YouTube. Because I'm going to... You can take... Go ahead. My name is Officer Adams, and you're not allowed taking pictures on my property. If you had just asked nicely... I was asking nicely. No shit. Hey, Mr. H&H Greg, I was. She laughed. She said you take pictures. No, I don't want to hear it. Okay. Can I just comment on it? Yeah. Go! Yes, you were rude. You go! Go. Boy, it's nothing like anybody else taking pictures? Look, this isn't a competition here. You have no respect for the rules. I don't care if I came off rude or not in the first place. You need to go, and you need to go. You've got 10 seconds before I make you go. One, get out of here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She said 10. 8. Guess what? I'm pressing charges on you. Go for it. Please call the police. Put the camera away. Erase the pictures. Erase them. You need to go. This isn't an excuse to have fights with a security officer. You're not allowed taking pictures. You're the one picking fights. You got a phone on you? Because I left mine in the car. I left it in the car. You want it? You better get out of here now. Get your hand. No, it's just kind of entertaining. But, you know. You want to argue with me too? You need to leave also. Right now. I'm telling you something! You better get the ass over the hill! Oh, she chose! Right there. That's a
Okay, so I'll stop it right there because at that point they start fighting. Now this security guard is out of.
They actually fought?
Oh, dude, you got to watch the video. It's the greatest. This video is definitely in the top 10 most entertaining videos of all time. So she's running. All these people. There's like I don't know, 7 or 8 people standing at on the bank, filming this truck down in the valley that had gone off the road, and they're just taking pictures with their cameras or their phones. And she comes over and starts ranting and raving and getting all fucking mental. And you hear it in the clip. She's going out of her mind. And I love the countdown, by the way. I thought that was the greatest. I'm going to count to 10. and then she goes over to this one chick, and as you can hear, she starts yelling in her face, and she pushes the other chick. Like, the security officer started it. The security officer started the fight. And you can watch the video, you can see clearly that she was the first one to make a physical altercation. So she pushes this chick, and this chick just grabs her, flips her over, pulls her down on the ground, starts wailing on her, punching her in the face, just kicking the shit out of this security guard. And then this dude pulls up across the street and runs over, tries to break it up. And all the people who were filming were like, no, don't touch him. The security guard started it. But it's staggering. And when I watched it, all I could think of is what I've been saying for a long time, is like these kind of positions, these kind of jobs, whether it be a cop or the army or a security guard or whatever the case may be, these positions are magnets for people who are fucking mental. For people who have insecurities or fucking authoritarian complexes or whatever, they're fucked up in the head, these professions, these kind of careers, these kind of jobs are fucking magnets to these people. And this chick is a prime example. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen, I think, Alex, you've seen the video. I think you watched it, right? Alex?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Sorry,
what are your thoughts?
Microphone was muted there. Oh, I don't know if you really want to know what my thoughts are, Gareth.
Of course I do. Come on. Of course I want to know.
Because you upset me.
Who did?
Or more to the point, I'm upset by things you say.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that is awesome.
Well, I've watched the clip, and yeah, okay, I'm drawn towards the clip. There's something going on quite dramatic, and it's security forces and all this stuff.
It's thrilling.
It is. But at the same time, the feeling I get when I watch that, first of all, is, obviously it's dramatic, but it's incredibly sad to me. That's how I'm feeling when I'm watching it. And I watched it the first time, and I thought, this is just terrible. This is so sad how this is going, how things are. And then I looked down at the comments there, and there's comments like awesome, pure gold, and all this stuff. And it's trivialized into just some cheap entertainment.
Well, I should add that I did not
that's
post.
What you're mirroring.
I did not post awesome and pure gold.
Well, I don't know about that.
In fact, I'm looking through the comments right now, and I don't see awesome and pure gold anywhere in the comments.
You've got to look down, because they are there.
I'm looking right now, so I think that maybe your imagination is flipping the fuck out there, Alex, because I don't see it.
Scroll down. Don't live in denial.
Let's see. No, I see nothing about pure gold.
Yeah, it is. It's there. It's there. 7 hours ago, it says.
I see.
I'm looking right now.
I see very amusing.
Well, there you are, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And that was posted by your friend.
6 hours ago, it was awesome. 7 hours ago, pure gold. This one is worth 2 laugh out louds and a meaty chuckle. Right? I mean, but the point I'm getting is, and I think you should be able to laugh at anything, but I think this should be getting an opposite reaction. This should be getting people going like, what the heck is going on? Why are we in this situation?
So why does this video upset you? Because it did upset me.
Because it's the reaction of the people.
It upset me also, but not for the same reasons that it upset you.
Because it's taken as a joke, and I don't think this is a joke. I think this is incredibly serious. It's an example of how our society's going. I walked around town the other day, and I am just... Every corner practically is somebody wearing a little yellow fluorescent jacket. So someone who's suddenly taken on authority or security, and outside every building that's got something so-called important, they've got a little guy stood there on the door, politely, nicely dressed, and it's just everywhere.
Sure.
Everywhere is now security.
Yeah, it's crazy.
These people are no different than, someone who just works in the bakery shop.
Now,
They've got the little uniform on.
For a security guard. Now,
induction.
Here's my take on security guards. Security guards usually fall into one of two categories, right? It's either somebody who desperately needs a job and can't get the job that they want, but obviously they need money to keep a roof over their head and put food on the table, so they become a security guard. And it's usually a temporary solution. In other words, they'll stick with it until they find something better. Now, those people that are security guards are usually the best security guards because they're not going to be maniacs over trivial shit. They're just going to come in and do what they need to do, and they're not going to be ranting and raving and acting like a fool. The other kind of security guard is the security guard that is severely mentally retarded. In other words, they're so fucked up in the head that they could not get into the police force or even the army, even though they desperately, desperately wanted to. And the only company that would take their authoritarian mental case brain is a security system. And those guys are the pain in the ass. Those guys are the ones that act like fucking maniacs over trivial nonsense.
But
yeah, I agree with that.
we as a society are turning into... What was it? Someone said about the internet that there's no empathy in it anymore. It's removed empathy from our society. We can see anything dramatic, but it's just a picture in front of us. I mean, if you're in front of this security guard and this is happening, I hope you're going to feel many things. But people are watching this, and they're detached so much. But I think
were you talking about the people filming it or the people watching it?
No, just the people commenting on YouTube, just watching it. The people who were there actually were. I respected them, if anything, because they weren't going to listen to this.
I see. Okay, you were reading the YouTube comments. Okay, I was reading the Facebook comments. That was the
that was
YouTube
the disconnect.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, but this chick who's, I mean, I don't know which camp she falls into, but I'm assuming it's the latter. But you know, if she'd come over and just, number one, why is she asking them to stop filming? I mean, what the fuck does she care if they're taking a couple of pictures? Why is she even involved in that situation? All right, so there's a truck that crashed and they're taking a picture. Whoopie fucking do. What does she care, right? But if her boss or some authoritarian fucked up mental case tells her, stop those people taking pictures, why didn't she just walk over and say, hey, folks, listen, you know what? I know it's interesting, but I've been told, could you please not take any pictures? I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If she'd done it that way, 90% of the people there taking pictures would have been, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And that would have been the end of that. But no, she runs over there ranting and raving and, I'm going to count to 10. And you know, what is this?
And
please.
press charges.
Everyone's looking at her like, shut the fuck up.
I'll tell you the big difference here, Gareth. Okay, that's one person. Now, just imagine that one person is backed up by another 10.
Sure, yeah, there's chaos.
Or maybe their own private drone to help them in this situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? I mean, we're going to be in a different situation then because people will be forced.
Well, but
it'll be coming from someone like that giving the orders.
That's the thing, Alex, is that all authority is a prelude to violence. And it has to be, because without the added component of violence, authority vanishes really fucking quick. It becomes nothing. Because if somebody says, hey, I need you to stop doing that, and you're like, please, get out of here. Fuck you. I'm not doing nothing. What's the next step? The next step is violence. Right? It has to be. The next step is violence. You take violence out of the situation, and authority ceases to exist instantly.
Because they're just words.
Because look at this chick. You better, and everyone's just like they're laughing at her. Get out! Who are you?
Get out of here!
Please. So what does authority do? It disappears. Suddenly, she's not an authority figure. She's just some fucking imbecile in a costume. And
I can't agree with you.
It escalates to violence, and it has to by its very nature.
I think it depends upon who that authority is targeting. If they're targeting, someone who's a thief or a murderer, and they're gonna, then there has to be some violent or backing up to that. But if it's people doing nothing illegal, then those people, it doesn't matter if they would naturally they control themselves.
Well, of course. I mean, dude, nobody. I mean, everyone supports just and fair laws, okay? If a law exists and you're like, oh, you know what, I see that. That makes sense to me. I agree. And who's arguing? It's only when laws that come into being where you're like, what? What the fuck? Are you serious?
Now,
that's when there's going to be issues.
I think Alex, are you suggesting that this is okay in some situations? Like if they are criminals or doing something wrong, then this justifies the behavior?
No, not at all. No, what I'm trying to say is Gareth's saying that you must have violence to back it up. I think if the majority in people in a society actually don't need the violence to back it up at all, because they will control themselves.
If it's a just and fair law, absolutely. If the situation at hand is just and fair and it makes sense, then yeah, Alex, you're absolutely correct. It's only when it's not that things get crazy. And authority does require violence. Authority by its very nature requires violence. Whether it's a fair law or a just society or whatever, authority
if that security officer came along and said politely, well, in fact they shouldn't say anything in that case.
Yeah,
they've no need to.
Absolutely.
But if there was a real reason for them to, that was would say just and fair, then I think the people would naturally say, yeah, we agree. That's
what I said earlier on, Alex. Were you not listening? I said that.
But yes, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. That in that case, the violence is not needed. It's not part of the issue anymore.
If that security guard had walked up there and been calm and professional and asked them politely, hey guys, you know what? If you could stop taking photographs, I'd really appreciate it. 90% or more would instantly say, sure, no problem, and put their cameras away, and that would be the end of that.
It all comes down, okay, I just want to say this, it all comes down to how that individual was trained. They obviously had very poor training, or their intelligence level isn't at a level where they can actually comprehend how to put across what they were shown in the classroom. If you want to create a situation, then go in or shouting and aggressive, and you will create a situation. But as you just said, Gareth, if she had approached the individual and said, look, I don't want to cause you any hassle, I know you're taking a few pictures, but I need to get this moving along and disperse this crowd a little bit. If you don't mind, a couple of minutes, and could you move along? I'm sure all of those people would have said, yeah, no problem, and they'd have gone on their way.
Yeah, I know, I would agree.
Because she went in all kind of aggressive and angry and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, immediately the people are going to go, who are you?
Right.
I'm an officer. You're not an officer. You're nothing. You're a woman in a little dress.
Well, what would have happened if the same situation and a police officer, not some rent-a-cop, but like a real police officer, showed up and say and started acting like that and yelling and screaming? What do you think the result would have been? Would they have laughed at him or her, or would they have immediately put their shit away and got out of there?
They would immediately put their stuff away and walked away, because that individual has powers of arrest, and that individual that we're speaking about has no powers of arrest.
Exactly, because the police has the power of arrest, which loosely translates to, I can affect the way your day is going to turn out. And it can get real fucking nasty real quick, because I can get on the fucking radio and your ass is going to jail and you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. Once again, violence, the component. You're going to get your buddies over. And because you know that when you see a police officer in that uniform and they tell you to do something, whether what they tell you is right or wrong, the threat of violence and incarceration is 3 seconds behind him. Therefore, you're going to listen. You take violence and incarceration away, he's just some fucking imbecile in a costume. End of story.
I'm not sure I agree again, Gareth.
Why is that?
Because I think people don't have the distinction between those two things that you do. In general, if you just people will take orders from other people. You know, even if those people have no powers, that they will assume
that's true.
That because they're wearing that uniform, they do.
No, that's true. I'm not disagreeing with you. Absolutely, you're correct. I mean, forget the uniform even. You know, if you walk into a crowded room and say, "Excuse me, I need everyone's attention. If we could please everyone stand up and orderly leave," they're just going to be like, "Okay, meh, and just walk out the fucking door.
Yeah, and that's why I find this upsetting, because this person who is wearing this whatever it is uniform, security officer, it says on their side, security officer of what, I don't know.
Nothing.
But, exactly. But people, well, this is one. If it was one isolated instance, fair enough. Maybe have a laugh. But I think this is what we're living. We're going to have around the corner everywhere.
You know what? I posted the other day that, and I posted this post in regard to internet and cyberspace and stuff. That I was thinking that we're either beginning or really rapidly ramping up to a kind of Cold War between governments and citizens, right? Over internet freedoms and stuff. There's going to be this tit for tat kind of battle because governments want us to do this and we want to do something different. So there's going to be like a kind of Cold War type friction. And in many ways, this kind of security guard is along the same lines. As people become more aware, like you said, Alex, and I'm not disagreeing, I think you're absolutely correct. Most people are oblivious to this stuff and just accept authority without a thought. You know, if somebody looks official and tells you to do something, you just do it. You don't sit back and think, well, wait a second, who the fuck's this guy? Why do I have to listen to you? You just do it automatically because we're programmed and conditioned throughout society to act that way to people who we perceive to be in authority. But that's starting to change. People are becoming more aware, and people are questioning, well, why do I have to do that? Who the fuck are you to tell me? How about I tell you to stop taking pictures? Right? Things are starting to change. And this could really escalate into a real kind of Cold War in reality over this kind of authoritarian kind of complex. Do you know what I mean? I find the other day I was driving along and there was a police car and he cut in front of this guy and then he just turned and went straight into like a gas station or something and parked and probably went to buy a soda or some shit. And I was thinking, if I'd done that and he'd seen me, blue, I'd be pulled over. Can I see your license, sir?
Yeah, you see it all the time.
I'm going to write you a ticket. And I'm thinking, if I had the balls, I would have pulled in there and said, excuse me, can I get your badge number? Who the fuck do you think you are? Do you see what you just did right there? Do you see what I mean? It's like, who is he? How come he can do that and I can't? What the fuck? Because he's wearing some dopey costume and driving a big car, he can do whatever the fuck he wants and I can't? What's up with that?
Well, they're not supposed to.
Exactly. If there's going to be a law, the law should be for everyone. It shouldn't just be pick and choose. Well, I'm a cop. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Please, get out of here. I think you are. It's actually mental. Let's take a break, shall we? Before I lose my fucking mind here. All right, guys, let's take a real quick break and I guess smoke them if you got them.
You can now hear all of the Mindset Central podcast while on the go with the Stitcher Smart Radio app. On-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episodes at Mindset Central are always available for you. No syncing needed and no memory or storage wasted. Available on your iPhone, iPad, Android phones, and beyond. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to MindsetCentral.com.
You're listening to the Mindset Network.
The Mind Tech Podcast is your weekly dose of tech, privacy, security, and conspiracy. Each week, the Mind Tech Podcast will talk about the very latest tech news and the continued threats to internet freedom. Hosted by Garrett Davis and Joe Resington. You can download and subscribe to the Mind Tech Podcast at MindsetCentral.com.
go, folks. That was, we're back, by the way. That was from one of our own. That was Rise of the Idiots by Cider Beer Joe, a.k.a. Joe Ressington from the Mindset Podcast. Or Mind Tech Podcast, rather. That's pretty good. I know that Joe's been a musician for a number of years. He turned us on to some of his tracks. And our other Joe Dunn, played this track and a few others on this past edition of the Mindset Radio Hour. What do you think, Joe?
I dig it, man. I couldn't believe it. That he had this music out. So I was like, I got to play this on the show. So I did. I love it, man. That's one of my favorite tunes lately.
Isn't it great?
I love it. Rise of the Idiots. How
I know. Rise of the Idiots. I never know who he's referring to, though. If he's referring to us or other
listen
people.
To the lyrics. And
yeah, it's great stuff.
Definitely, and all his music. I like the different styles of music he has. It's all different. So if you go to SoundCloud.com/ciderbeerjoe, you can get it there.
Yeah, some great stuff. Very talented. It's great to have him on board. Some great music stuff there. Hopefully we'll get to play some more of Joe Ress's music on this and other shows on the Mindset Network, because a lot of stuff. I love that. Rise of the Idiots. Very good. All right, guys, let's jump into some more news here, some more clips. But before we do, I really should talk a little bit about subscriptions and donations. I usually mention it at the beginning of the show, but we have so much to talk about today, and of course the return of our Alex Fate kind of made me focus on that rather than subscriptions and the like. We haven't had any new subscription this week, but we did get a donation, and a rather notable donation. We got a donation from George Rodriguez, who just so happens to be the brother of my good friend and ex-co-host of Nervous Teeth. So, George, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And it's great to know that you're digging the shows, you're listening, and thank you once again. We really, really appreciate it. For those of you out there that are thinking of and or considering maybe donating and subscribing to Mindset Central, subscriptions are what the lifeblood of the show. It's what keeps everything going here, keeps bills being paid, and the lights on at the Mindset Studios. We are pushing out approximately around 17 new podcasts per month, all free, of course, and will continue to be free. But we do have a very vibrant and active subscriber section with a growing selection of new podcasts that are only available to subscribers. And it's something that if you like the shows on Mindset and you like what you're doing, you're going to love the subscriber section. So really think about subscribing to Mindset Central. Not only will you get access to all of this great content, it's great subscriber content, but you'll also help us out and keep the wheels turning. All right, guys, let's take a quick look here at what's been going on in the news. Something else has been going on here in regard to security. We talked a few minutes ago about security guards going wild, but there's been another development here in Southern California which made the news this week in regard to surveillance. And this is a twist on surveillance which might be kind of good in a strange sort of way. So let me play this clip, and then we'll get into some conversation and get everyone's take on this issue. Here we go.
Soaring meteors and catastrophic collisions to violent road rage attacks. They are dramatic dashcam videos from Russia that quickly go viral. Now drivers here in L.A. could soon be recording whatever comes into view. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson checks out the latest car camera technology.
Russian dashcam videos are all over YouTube. They showcase incredible moments. Russians started using them to avoid insurance fraud. Watch as this man stands in the middle of the street and seemingly pretends to get hit by a car. Moments later, it's all caught on camera when it appears he's faking an injury. But those same cameras see so much more. From helicopters to fighter jets, wayward horses to goats. How about some cows? And all that road rage, the punching, the kicking, and The dairy products? Of course, no moment is more spectacular than that surprise meteor overhead. Now, because of the nature of these online compilations, it's hard to believe none of this is staged, and even harder to know who shot every video.
So could we soon be seeing more and more videos like these coming here to Southern California? Well, we've already been seeing Southern California law enforcement use similar technology for some time. But increasingly, as of late, people here are using these cameras in their personal cars.
This is the Mobileye that works.
Michael Kapsman constantly rolls on his commute through Riverside.
If you get in an accident, it's evidence.
They're popular in teens' cars, including the ride of 17-year-old Jeff Gabel.
Gave me the comfort to let him start driving alone.
Every time Jeff does something unsafe, the video is sent to professionals who send him tips and alert his mom.
You know that if you screw up, they're going to catch you and it's going to get reported.
The cameras are about the size of your hand. Sales of them are up at Riverside-based Pacific Stereo.
The meteor was really a big impetus for people getting curious.
Pete Moraga, a spokesman for the insurance industry, says these cameras could greatly reduce $30 to $50 billion a year in auto insurance fraud, and in the process, save you money.
That could save, on average, between $200 and $300 a year.
So, capturing your crash could one day save all of us cash. Alex Michelson, ABC 7, Eyewitness News.
So, I mean, this is an interesting trend that's starting to catch on over here in the United States, but apparently in like Russia and maybe parts of Europe, this is more commonplace. And I'd really like to get everyone's take on this. What they're talking about here are these dashboard cams, these little cameras that you can buy that you can fit right onto the windshield of your car. And just record, and as you're driving around, just record anything, and it's good for insurance. If you get into an accident, it'll clearly show whose fault it was or what really happened. But as far as I know, is that police cars have these in-dash cams and have been using them for years. But now there's like a market that's kind of growing where just regular people can install these things relatively cheaply into their cars, and quite high quality too, HD video, and just record everything as they're driving around. Joe, are you familiar with this? Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I am familiar with this, but not so much for the insurance. I know the insurance, they've been using those other things you can plug into your car where it tracks, not the video, but it tracks like your driving habits. So they give you a better rate on your insurance.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this is more of an evolution of that. This is like like you mentioned about the insurance. They could give you a benefit of sorts if you put this in your dashboard.
Right.
To see, I am familiar with this technology. I know that in the cop cars they've been using it, but I think you're right. You're seeing it more in a private use now with the private cop.
And it's interesting. Before I saw this clip I just played, the other day, and I was just walking, I went to the store and I was walking back to my car into the parking lot. And, when you're walking back, you see all these other cars. You walk past cars to get to your own car. And I walked past a car and I noticed that this parked car had one of these cameras stuck on the dash filming out.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there was nobody in the car. It was parked. But as I was walking by, I kind of glanced and noticed it. I thought, well, look at that. They're filming. Well, maybe not filming right then and there, but when they're driving around, they're filming stuff.
Where is it? It just films all the time?
I don't know whether it's I don't know whether it's just when you start the car it starts filming, or whether you have to hit a button to record. I'm not entirely sure.
Why would
about
somebody get this for their car? What's the purpose? For insurance reasons?
I don't know. You're just filming. You're filming everything. You film wherever you go. Who knows why you're going? I mean, that's with the they mentioned on that clip the Russian meteorite that from a month or two ago that we talked about on the show. I mean, that was caught in great detail from a dashboard camera on a car.
Yeah.
So who knows?
The only time you won't be allowed to film is when you get pulled over by a police officer. And the first thing I'll say is, that a camera? Can you turn that off, please?
I would say, sure, if you turn yours off. What do you think, Alex?
I think we're due for a revolution. And I think this is part of it.
Tell us more. I'm fascinated.
Well, the other day, for example, I was having a little look myself for cameras, just seeing what there are out there. And you can get cameras now that they're tiny, 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 tiny. They'll go into a button, almost literally. You can buy hats that have got HD recording cameras in them, glasses that will have HD.
Well, you got a Google Glass.
You've got Google glasses,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
are but that's also a revolution, because it's like an acceptance of if we can do this and where we can do it. I mean, if you're wearing glasses, you go into a building, you don't have the right to film on private property. Do you have to take the glasses off? The same thing with the car.
Right.
If you're driving along the road, maybe it's fine. You pull over into a garage or somewhere, you're on private property, you don't technically have right to film there. And that's why I say a revolution, because the laws and situation for this isn't established yet.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to find a lot of cases coming down soon where we're going to find private citizens are not allowed to film in these places, and these things are not admissible as evidence.
Yeah.
But the law enforces that they will. But we are cameras now can be taken anywhere. I mean, I was thinking of getting a camera, just a tiny little one, just to do a little bit of, I wouldn't say secret filming, I'll say private filming.
Yeah,
and just think what you could film, where you could film.
Sure.
Without just imagine if a population is doing this. We are in a completely different situation.
Well, you can see. I mean, I agree with you completely. I think you're totally right. But you see it in all aspects of life. With the proliferation of cell phones, mobile phones. Everyone has a camera with them now. Obviously it's not recording. It's not on all the time. But in their pocket or in their bag is a recording device, and they have that with them at all times.
What's going to happen with that security officer you had earlier? If we're in the future a little bit and everybody's got a camera stuck on their glasses or in their hat, is she going to tell everyone, turn off your cameras, take your hats off, take your glasses off?
Right.
Hand those over. I mean, we are going to be in a different world.
No, I would agree. Yeah, it's gonna change things drastically. But I think you're absolutely right about private and public property. As far as certain things filmed on private property might become inadmissible in a court of law, because you're not you don't have the rights to film in a private location. You can only film in a public spot. I mean, if you're in public, there's no expectation of privacy. Therefore, you can film without any impedance, right? But once you get onto private property, then it's a whole different deal.
There's something different to a camera that's turned on and with you compared to taking a camera out and turning it on.
Yeah.
Who's going to have access to those cameras if you get one of these? Just you?
I would assume so, yeah, because it's not, as far as I know, it's not the ones in your dash. It's not broadcasting anywhere. It's saving everything to probably an SD card or something locally in the car, and you'd have to physically pop out the card and then take it to your PC and then plug it in and then extract the video. As far as I know, maybe I'm wrong there, but I would assume that's the.
Well, I'm just thinking that this is something for companies and Big Brother in a way to get in. I mean, somebody else is going to want access to what you're seeing.
Well, if
market it towards you.
If you have a camera of any type and it's connected to the internet, then powers that be can access it whether you want them to or not.
So I think that's what we're going to see as well, that whole angle of it.
I mean, we know that, if you have a cell phone, if you have a mobile phone, the camera on the phone and the microphones can be remote accessed and turned on and record you without your knowledge and or permission. The camera that, the little webcam that you have built into your laptop or the microphone built into your computer, those can be remotely accessed and turned on and record you, without your knowledge. That absolutely can and does happen all the time. So if you have one of these cameras and it's connected to the internet in any way, then it's completely feasible that it can be remotely accessed without your knowledge and footage and sound.
I just thought of a great idea too. For marketers, if you had this in your dash and you're driving around, they could have it set up to the internet and it could suggest things to you based on what you're seeing driving around. Hey, you hungry? There's McDonald's.
I mean that's gonna happen. I mean I've been fooling with Google Now. I don't know if you guys have used Google Now. It's a little app for your phone. I think if you have an Android phone, it comes bundled with it, built in. But if you have an iPhone or something, you can download it and install it. And I've been using it for like the last 3 or 4 days, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, but it's very creepy because it knows where you are at all times, and it'll recommend things to you that's nearby. It'll if you're in a certain area, it'll say, "Hey, I know you like coffee. There's a Starbucks around the corner." It'll tell you things, and the more you use it, the smarter it gets. The more you can hold up, you can in Google Now you can take a picture of something. Like say you're in a bookstore and you take a picture of a book, just the cover of the book. It recognizes the cover and says, "Oh yeah, this book is available on Amazon for this amount of money," or "There's another bookstore around the corner that also stocks this book and they're charging this much," and it tells you all this stuff. So I think, Joe, what you're saying is that is the next logical step, to have these things, especially with someone like Google Glass. You have this thing on your head and you're walking around. It's just a matter of time before it starts recommending things. Or if you've told it like, "Oh yeah, I got to buy milk this week," and the next time you walk into the supermarket, bling, "Hey, remember you got to get milk," and it knows when you're in the market.
Yep.
And this is not science fiction. This shit is happening.
And I just see these dashboard cams tying into that eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I mean that does seem like that's the way it's going to go for sure.
Are you going to get one?
No. No, I don't think so. No. How about anyone else?
Alex, camera.
You going to get one, Alex?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's the technology I'm not afraid of at all, but it's going to be used for bad things as well, and then that is not going to be debated or questioned in society, and it is a huge change, I think. You said it's going to recommend something to someone. Another word I'd say there is it's going to suggest something.
Yeah.
And the power of suggestion is a very strong thing.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, even a bookstore, why get this book? Why not get this one? This one's cheaper, or this other one maybe has a different message in it. I mean, so many things could be controlled.
It's gonna learn your tastes also. I mean, through everything that you view online, everything you purchase online, it's gonna very quickly understand who you are and what you're into.
So it's going to know what you eat, where you go, who you talk to, the things you read, the things you watch. I mean, we are approaching a time very, very soon where we are monitored is not the word. We are part of the system in order to survive.
Yeah, it's going to be we're going to get to a point where not taking part in these technologies is going to make your life so inconvenient.
Yeah.
That you're gonna want to do it.
And the key word being is integration.
Oh, absolutely. Just from using Google now.
Assimilation.
Just using Google. I've only been using it for 3 or 4 days, and I swear to you, it is jaw dropping. It is this little thing on your phone. It is unbelievable. Now imagine when I've been using that for 6 months and it's really gotten to know me. How useful this thing can be.
Imagine if you're a child growing up.
Yeah.
And it's just part of your life.
Totally.
You don't know the world without it.
Exactly, yeah. It's amazing. And it's that's the way of the future. It's going to be embedded in every aspect of our lives. We're going to get to the point where you're going to have to use this stuff in order to survive.
You have been recorded standing too close to this area to take a photograph. We suggest you stand back and we're giving you 10 points on your license.
Yeah.
Something like that. You're just like a little Starbucks card that will stamp you for every offence, minor offence, just a suggestion and a warning.
You know, it's going to be
all
weird.
Be added up. I mean, the world we're approaching it is going to be so different with this.
Yeah, I look at my kids and I'm like, 20, 30 years from now, what kind of world are you going to be living in? It's going to be astounding and terrifying all at once.
It will be very different to what we've had before.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely. It's going to be very different. I thought just occurred to me, because 10, 20 years from now, when everyone's lives are so integrated into the internet in every way, in ways we can't even imagine today, I guess red flags would pop up when somebody would appear on the network that has no background. Like if you disconnected from everything and said, you know what, I don't want to have nothing to do with this shit for a year. And then suddenly you walk into a mall somewhere and the sensors, they recognize this, oh, there's somebody here, but wait a second, we're not getting his ID from his built-in his chip, or we're not getting any video from his video feed. We can't run any do facial recognition. Oh, wait, we don't want to have anything on our background.
They already do that, Gareth.
But can you? But
that's part of this. Well, this stuff is already there as well.
Right. Yeah. In many ways, it is. Yeah, that's true.
It's just making it widespread so everybody depends upon it.
Yeah. Crazy times. Okay, let's jump on to another clip here. Alex, I just found your clips, and I do apologize, but I'd like to play at least one of them. Would you have a preference?
No. You choose away either one. Potluck, which you fancy.
Dice.
It's your lucky dip. It's your lottery.
Well, you see, the reason I ask is because I'm interested in both of them. So I thought I'd ask you to kind of ease my pain of choosing.
Joe, would you rather have Kai or would you have Nigel? Which do you prefer, Kai or Nigel?
There you go. Pick one, Joe.
Nigel.
Nigel, okay.
Let's have Nigel.
Nigel it is.
Making plans for Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel's always entertaining, though. Mr. Farage is a very animated and colourful character in British politics, and he's always great fun to listen to, and I'm sure this clip will be no exception. All right, here we go.
It was a demonstration dressed up as being anti-racism, but in fact in itself was deeply racist, with a total hatred of the English and a desire for Scotland to be independent from Westminster. I mean, my goodness me, if this is the face of Scottish nationalism, it's a pretty ugly picture.
You're quoted as saying, turning up in Scotland, telling everyone how much you love Scotland and what a big part of your life it's been, how sincere I am, it would all have been a lot of rubbish, wouldn't it? And isn't that the problem? UKIP isn't part of Scottish political debate in any meaningful way, and you know very little of Scotland or the politics of Scotland.
I'm sensing similar hatred from this line of questioning that I got on the streets yesterday in Edinburgh. We are the only UK-wide political party. We're the only party with representation in Stormont. We have representation from Wales in the European Parliament. We clearly have become quite strong in England, and we intend to start mounting serious campaigns in Scotland. No other party in UK politics even attempts to do all of those things.
And remind me how many elected representatives you have in Scotland?
Absolutely none, but rather more than the BBC do. And, you know, we could have had this interview in England a couple of years, although I wouldn't have met with such hatred as I'm getting from your questions, and frankly, I've had enough of this interview. Goodbye.
That's so awesome, dude. That is the greatest.
That was good. Makes a bit of a change for a politician to throw a phone down.
Oh, I love that. The ending was just killer. That was awesome.
Politicians normally would do anything to still have airtime and be able to say something, won't they?
You know what? I mean, I've been away from the UK for a long time, and I really don't know who Farage is. I mean, I've kind of, on the periphery, kind of saw a little bit here and there, but I kind of like him.
There's an awful lot of things, I think, around this situation now. For those who don't know Nigel Farage, especially if you're in America, he's a little bit like your Ron Paul. He's the same sort of thing as that, in my opinion. I feel that he's a bit, as you've often said for Ron Paul, is like a pressure cooker valve.
Yeah, he lets off steam, yeah.
He's letting off the steam that other people don't want to let off, and it keeps the system running, perhaps.
Right.
But we had local elections not too long ago, and an awful lot of votes went across to the UK Independence Party, which is what his party is. And there's what seems to be a shift in the country towards his party. And there's two key arguments. One is that he doesn't want to be part of Europe, basically, or not part of the European system as we are. And a lot of people will say he's racist. He's anti-immigration, for example. His party is those sort of policies. So he went up to Scotland the other day, and he was claiming that the Scottish National Party were there and that they were the racists. And there's a lot of tensions around on who is the racist. Apparently, they're everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's show. Who's the racist?
You only become a racist when you're a threat to the two main parties. That's the only time you become a racist. He is now becoming a clear threat. People are starting to go towards UKIP because they're pissed off with the way that these clowns in Westminster are running the country and bailing out the banks and creating more fucking wars that we don't need. And people are getting pissed off. And so that what they're doing is they're putting their little spin doctors to work, and they're getting these little factions together and saying, go out and create some shit for this party, make them racist, call them names.
Yeah.
And then that'll make the people go, oh, I'm not going to vote for them. It's such shit. It's unbelievable. Joke.
I should kind of jump in here and maybe bring something up and then maybe get everyone's take on it. Is like, I remember when I was a kid, there was, living in Wales, there was a big push, and this must have been in the late 70s, early 80s. And I always remember this, and I remember being outside playing with my friends in the street, and the whole vibe was that Wales wanted to disconnect from Britain and become its own country and not be involved with Parliament and all that nonsense, and have its own Welsh Parliament and do its own thing and say, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm out of here. And the overwhelming feeling was that this was a bad idea. And I remember thinking about it as a kid, saying, well, why do we want to leave? Why would you want to, everything's cool. Why would we want to go away from, wouldn't it make us weaker to go away from the overall structure of the country? And I remember thinking, well, it's a bad thing. And I remember holding on to that thought for a long time. I mean, there were thoughts of Scottish independence, things like that. And I remember always thinking, like, why would they want to leave? Why not stay apart, stay together and be stronger, right? Now I think the exact opposite. Now I really feel like, more is better. The more countries we got on this planet, the better it is for people. And it's only for people at the top of the pyramid that consolidation of power is the way to go. It benefits them enormously, but it fucks over the people big time. Here we got the United States of America. I can't wait for one of the states to secede from the Union. For Texas or California to say, you know what, fuck you, we're going alone. Later. I think
it's bound to happen.
I think it would be awesome. The Farage, he mentioned Scottish independence. I think that would be killer. If the Scots said, you know what, I'm out of here. Bye. I think that would be so fucking cool. The more countries, the more individual sovereign nations we have on this planet, the better it is for people. This consolidation shit, it's for the fucking birds, dude. It only benefits those at the top of the pyramid. For the people that are out at the top, the consolidation of this, the pulling down of state lines, making one nation, one country, the United States of Europe, the Russian Federation. For the people at the top, this is the fucking shit. This is the best. But for the people, that's fucked up. We're screwed.
The people at the top consolidate to break down borders and to consolidate many sovereign states into one giant nation. It's just another way of looking at people as cattle and herding them together.
Well,
And unfortunately, you get a lot of conflict when you try that, because you're forcing people to who don't think the same way to have to think the same way.
It's happening, though, Reeves.
It is happening, yeah. And unfortunately, with the EU, they're throwing more and more money at it, but it was built on a lie. It was built on debt anyway. It was built to fail. It will never work, because you can't have smaller countries in the European Union and continuously have larger countries bailing those smaller countries out, which will be continuously in debt to the International Monetary Fund, the giant bank that oversees everything, it will not work. And it's got to a point now where the politicians have shoveled, I'll use the word shoveled because that's all they're doing is shoveled. They've so much money into it that they don't want to see it fail because there's so much invested in it. Unfortunately, it won't work. And I think that whether they want it to work or not, there will become a point where countries will start to walk away from it and it will fall apart.
What they need to do is get rid of the euro. All the countries in Europe go back to their regular currency, have their own have their own sovereignty. Get this European Parliament bullshit. Get that fucking out of there, and let's go back to the way it was, where all these countries are their own countries and they're all competing with each other. That benefits people. It doesn't necessarily benefit the New World Order or the power structure, but for regular people on the ground, it benefits them enormously. And let me just tell you why.
We are preaching to a choir because the people that listen to this podcast already know this. They ain't stupid. They already know what's going on. And the thing is that the average person in the street, if you try and explain it to them, you might as well bark at them like a dog. No clue what you're talking about. They're not interested. They're not interested.
I think the average person in the street is looking at that. They look at the main parties, and also the alternatives that they see, and they see the UK Independence Party, UKIP, the Farage's party. They see that as an alternative. That's how their mindset is coming.
You're correct. They see it as an alternative, and as soon as UKIP now are starting to gain some momentum, they bring in that word racism. They're racist. They're a racist party. Sure. They don't want this. They don't want it in Europe. They don't want this. And people go, that word racism. Oh, no, I'm not going to vote for them. No, I can't do that. Because people have been conditioned. They've been programmed.
All parties have got racism in them in different ways.
Understandably, but people have been conditioned for that key word. There are all these keywords that are used.
Definitely. I agree completely with you. I'm not sure if Americans in general would know of the politics in Europe, though, and how it's changing here. And we've had huge issues in Greece, more countries coming into the EU now, Bulgaria, and just if you can imagine dozens and dozens of different countries all coming together,
it's
being
crazy.
told to use the same currency and freedom of travel and things. There are huge issues.
So wrong.
Absolutely huge.
There are
It's
huge issues because without being
wrong.
I don't want to sound like an arsehole, but these smaller countries that come into Europe, what are they bringing to it? They're bringing nothing. They've got nothing. They don't produce anything.
Oh, they're losing they're losing themselves, though, Reeves. You see, the way it works, right, is that this consolidation of power, it like I said, it's great for the people up top, but for the citizens, for regular people, it's fucked up, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because if let's just say 100 years from now, Europe is just Europe, right? It's the United States of Europe, right? All these countries are considered one country. All these, it's the state of France, the state of Germany, under the United States of Europe. Same currency, same laws, same everything. So let's just say I'm some dude. I'm living in.
Well, actually, it would be broken up into regions.
Well,
states.
whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. So let's just imagine I'm some dude living in France, and the law is, you know what? The law of the land is you cannot smoke cigarettes on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucked.
That's it.
Right? Whereas if there's lots of different countries and the French government says the law is you can't smoke cigarettes on Tuesday, I can say, cool, I'll just move to Germany. I can smoke.
I can
smoke.
Totally
I can smoke as many cigarettes as I want. There, bye.
But the integration and forcing people together, destroying sovereignty, destroying their cultural identity, shall we say, can create a lot of problems, and it can create a lot of hatred, and it can create a lot of internal conflict.
Sure.
And I think the people at the top, they want that. They want to see people at each other's throats. There's nothing more than they want, because by doing that, they can bring in more laws, more control.
What do you think, Alex?
It's all part of the master plan.
We get Alex's take.
This is a huge topic. I could talk all day on this one. But I mean, I agree with the point about racism and immigration in all directions helps people lose, or influences people to lose their sense of identity. The more that happens, the more control can be placed on them. Whether it's good or bad to be able to travel freely, if even countries exist, the concept of a country, does it even exist, is another thing. But I think there are key things here on changes that are happening. I mean, before our local elections not long ago, we had the Green Party, okay, which is kind of an alternative party for some people. And they would have had, I think, about 15 local councillors, roughly. And UKIP would have had less than that. They'd have been 10 or so, less than 10 maybe. So we're talking still a very tiny minority party, okay? A national party, but still pretty small. After these elections, they've gone up to 147 councillors. And the Green Party is around 20. So I mean, it's been a huge shift towards this party. And if you see the main headline news all the time, it's if the Conservatives have got control, they're all together, they're working on this, and what Labour's view is. That there is a genuine concern that people have about immigration and the European Union. And I think this is the majority's way of saying that. And I also feel it's a little bit like the Ron Paul campaign that happened. And so I'm wondering, is this ever going to go anywhere?
No.
Or is it being used to allow people to vent their frustration so the main system can still continue?
I think what you just said is probably very accurate.
Yeah. But there is a huge change, though, that this party has now become big news. They're not a small sideline party. They're a party that potentially could threaten the bigger parties. A bit like when Ron Paul was gaining momentum.
But it'll never happen, though. I mean, there's no way that the power structure is going to allow any party to gain a foothold that could threaten them. It ain't going to happen.
I would tend to agree, but I think there's one major difference here, and that is Europe itself, which is different to America. Europe is falling apart in places. Some countries are, like in Cyprus not too long ago, people went to the cash machines. There was no cash. The banks stopped giving out cash for days in a row.
The banks closed for over, I think it was a week or 2 weeks to stop people getting their money.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they were allocated, only a maximum of, was it €300 a day, or that's all they could have out of their account?
It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
If you had savings of, I don't know, say €100,000, which it isn't, sounds a lot, but if that's something you've earned over your life and you've saved up, they just took it, or they took a huge percentage of it.
I take a percentage of it, yeah. It's like a savings tax.
It's unbelievable.
You don't get asked. The money's in the bank. It's yours. Bang, 20 grand gone.
Let me give you a good analogy for this whole situation that nobody seems to get. Is like consumerism. The purchasing of goods. You ask anyone in business, and they'll say, in consumerism, competition is good for the customer, right? So let's look at the mobile phones, the iPhone, all these Android phones, and all this choice. Now, for the companies, it's very difficult because they have to up their game, make better products at cheaper prices, and compete with all these other companies. So for the people that are manufacturing these devices, it's a pain in the ass, right? It's hard because you constantly have to innovate new stuff, keep the prices low so that people will buy your shit. Now for the people, all these companies battling against each other to make these great products, this is the greatest. For the people who want to buy these phones, this is awesome because I can get a kick-ass phone with a ton of features for very, very little money, right? And it's the same with governments. It's the same with countries. The more countries we have competing with each other, the better it is for the people. The less countries we have competing with each other, it's bad for the people, great for the governments.
Well, that's how it used to be 30, 40 years ago, until they brought this European Union crap in.
Every law that's passed,
everybody in their sovereign countries, everybody just traded with one another.
Every law that's passed, every fucking thing, every law in society that's passed is done with one thing in mind: to benefit the few, to benefit those at the top. You can see it, every policy the government comes out with, every law that, oh yes, we're going to debate this and pass it and do what. It's all designed to consolidate power and to benefit them.
Well, I think we covered it. I think we covered part of an example of what we're talking about right at this moment last week when we spoke about the consolidation and the selling off of the National Health Service.
Yeah.
And if you looked deep enough at the corporations that were sold, that have been sold or will be sold these contracts to take over certain key aspects of the NHS running, if you look at these people and you look at the their where their donations go, their donations go to the Conservative government that are handing out these contracts to these select corporations. And if you look at the list of people that actually directly will gain from it in a monetary form, you've got over 50 Conservative MPs, MPs that are in that sort of bubble that will all benefit from this on an ongoing basis.
It's crazy.
We're talking not now, but from years to come.
We got consolidation of countries, consolidation of currency, consolidation of media, and all of this is done to benefit the few and to fuck over the majority. I mean, you look at newspapers and media, and it's just like 3 or 4 companies own it all. There should be hundreds of companies producing media. These television stations, there should be millions of these companies all competing for news and television shows. There should be thousands of them all competing and fighting against each other because that benefits the people.
But there isn't.
There isn't.
It's getting worse.
But no, there isn't, and we could say that that's a fault of the individual, the general public. And then we could have the argument, well, how are they meant to know if they're not informed? And, we've got that argument, and then we've got the second argument, which is, well, we could say, well, if people want change, they could go to the bank tomorrow and they could start drawing their money out. Any extra cash they've got, get it out. That's making an actual positive mark. Don't walk down the street with a banner. That does nothing. Do something. Be proactive. But do it in a non-violent manner. But then we could say, well, nobody's ever going to do that. So then we come back to the conversation of why are we even having this conversation? Because nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, I think this is problem, reaction, solution.
Oh, okay. I'm interested. Tell me more.
Well, they want one system to control us.
Yeah.
So we need one problem. And the problem is the EU is collapsing. The system is not working. So first of all, the system has to be built, then it has to collapse, and then it allows. First of all, the old system has to be integrated together, then it has to be built up, then it has to collapse, then a new system can come along which will save us, and I think that's what's happening here. We're seeing the EU have huge problems, and so what they just seem to bail us out, bail out countries from, which is another way of saying, increase the debt and burden and control upon a country.
I think you might be onto something there, Alex. I think what you just said makes a lot of sense. That actually might be what's going on.
I think so. And so all the other things that are happening, all the Nigel Farages and things, that they're just, they're consequences.
Right.
They're going to happen anyway. They're just got to be controlled as all of this major control comes along. And it's all part of the...
Sorry, Alex. Sorry. I was going to say, I remember reading about a certain a national party that got into Europe, and the first thing they did to get them into Europe was they said to them, "Now you must sign a decree that lets anybody join your party from any walk of life. You can have anyone that joins your party, so you're no longer a national party, and we will also pay you a certain amount of money, the leader, per year, to be part of the we're talking like over £1 million, I think, to be in Europe. You'll get a certain funding in Europe." Do you know what? That party no longer exists. Gone, disbanded, destroyed, gone, got rid of. And I think this is the same as what happened with UKIP. They're becoming a threat. There's certain individuals will put certain things in place, and they'll think, right, now let's start making it difficult for them. And they'll the whole this is only a tiny speck on what will come. And like Gareth said, the people that have got their dirty little hands on the power right now, they're not prepared to let go for anything. They got their nails so deeply dug into the woodwork. that there's no way that they're going to let anybody into their little private little gang. Because as soon as someone comes in that's getting an inkling to change stuff,
sure,
you know, there's everything. All their little dirty deeds are going to come out.
And any threat, any legitimate threat that threatens the power elite, the power structure, is either absorbed or destroyed. And any threat,
Money is a great tool when you want people to shut up and do your bidding.
Take them over and absorb them into their power structure, and if they can't do that, they destroy them. And that's all there is to it.
It's the same thing here.
A curious thing I just mentioned briefly is Nigel Farage survived a plane crash.
Yeah, I remember that. We talked about that on the show last year. So was it last year? It was a while ago, but I remember that. Yeah,
before then, I think.
Yeah, it might be.
But yeah, I mean, it could have been an accident. Maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it's a warning.
Yeah.
Well, it was very, very lucky, maybe, but maybe that puts him in a different place because maybe he feels that he survived. You know, maybe he feels he survived an attempt on his life.
You see,
but isn't it funny that when you get somebody like that, a politician that starts to speak out and say, enough is enough, we got to change stuff, and naturally, your natural reaction to that is, oh, hang on a minute, we've heard this before. Hang on a minute, you got little clowns like Cameron going, I'm not going to touch the NHS, you can trust me. They're all liars, they're all full of shit. That's all that comes out of their mouth is complete turds. But when you've got someone like Farage that isn't in a place of power, and he's saying this stuff, and immediately you're sort of, hang on a minute. You get that double whammy that kicks in before you know, it's like you've been conditioned, like we're talking about conditioning earlier, that you get that kind of thing that pops up to say, well, is this person for real or not?
You cannot fight the power structure from being in the power structure, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he's a politician. And he's got his own party, and he's trying to fight. It ain't going to happen. You can't fight the power using their power. It's not going to work. It's impossible. So he's either being used, or he's of no consequence. And if he's not being used and he becomes of consequence, he will either be converted to their cause or eliminated,
or shamed in some way.
Yeah, he'll either be killed, or he'll be there'll be something dug up from his past, or they'll make some shit up and pin it on him, or something. He'll be either ruined or killed or whatever. And you see it all the time. I mean, look at Martin Luther King Jr. You know, they couldn't convert him, they couldn't shut him up, so it's like later, boom.
Yeah, they soon they disposed of him,
Yeah, and you see it in business also. I mentioned this a few weeks ago with Facebook and Instagram. Instagram was a huge threat to Facebook. Instagram had the potential to put Facebook out of business. Facebook recognized this threat and purchased them.
Haven't Google, who obviously own YouTube, they've just gone ahead to purchase that other, is it the Russian video site, the other big video site that's growing in popularity, and they've stepped up and they're going to purchase it and buy it.
That's
and
the
what
MO.
will happen? That will just disappear.
That's the MO. If you're a huge tech giant and you see something coming on the horizon that has the potential to severely fuck with your income, you're going to purchase them, and if they don't want to sell, you're going to destroy them. And it's the same with the power structure in government. If a force comes along that starts fucking with you, if it's of no consequence, if it's just a fly that you want to just swat away
it's
from,
like feeding the giant,
then you're gonna be like, whatever, let him be. He's just blabbing his bullshit. But the second that person starts making headway, starts getting traction, and you look at them and think, okay, this guy could be a potential threat, it's game over. Guy's done. He's either going to be dead or ruined, or they're going to convert him some way. That's the way it works.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's do one last clip, and then we'll call it a day. Let's see what we got here. I want to talk a little about some gas that's being pumped into the New York subway system, which is a little disturbing. Let me go ahead and play this clip, then we'll get everyone's take on it.
Gas, and lots of it, pumped into the crowded New York City subway system. We're not talking about another terrorist attack, at least not yet. But the NYPD wants to be prepared, which is why the department plans to conduct a controlled release of harmless gas into the underground tubes and stations this summer to learn how a poison gas would spread through the transit system in a real attack.
What the public will see will be perhaps as many as 200 detection devices. It'll be done on 3 non-consecutive days in July. Those days will be determined based on weather conditions.
Nick Casal is a former NYPD detective and former deputy director of counterterrorism at the MTA.
The subway system is a porous system. It can never be completely defended.
Casal's assessment of law enforcement's ability to prevent a terrorist attack in the subway system is not encouraging.
The subways, the marathons, or any large gathering will still occur. However, we can't take draconian measures. We could place undercover officers in the crowd. We could look at people. We could search packages.
But none of those precautions provide a blueprint for preventing this kind of terrorist attack. In fact, police in Tokyo were caught off guard in 1995 when a group of suspects released toxic sarin gas on several lines of the subway system. 13 people died and some 50 others were injured. A 2012 federally funded report by the Mineta Transportation Institute explored more than a dozen attacks on public transportation. Like the Boston Marathon, underground rail stations are indeed soft targets. The report acknowledges the obvious. Quote, the enclosed subway system would have provided an ideal venue for a chemical attack.
The ability of a terrorist to discharge some form of contaminant in the system is very easy.
So this sounds blunt and it may sound harsh, but is this an exercise to roughly determine how many people could die and how quickly?
Yes, I mean, and this is not by any means the first time they've used tracer gas to make that determination.
This kind of airflow test has been conducted in other cities, but never on this scale. And New Yorkers will get a warning when the NYPD intends to release the harmless, odorless gas. Tamsin?
No, it's a test, but just thinking about it's hard.
It is.
It is, yes, it's hard, yeah. So it's colorless, it's odorless, and they're going to pump it into the subway to track its movements, see where it goes. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, oh, well, that's interesting, a preventative measure, kind of see, how they can see where if someone were to release some toxic gas, which way it would flow. I mean, that's interesting. But then I remember thinking, well, why would they even announce this if it's colorless and odorless? Couldn't they just do it? And it's harmless, not going to hurt anyone. Why not just do it and be done with it? Why are you publicizing this? And then I thought, well, they're kind of sending a message too, right?
That's what I thought too.
They're letting people know that what's up. So let's get everyone's take on this. Now, Joe, this was your clip, so I want to start with you. What's your take on this?
Well, I agree with what you're saying there. I think it's, why would they have to announce this? They could just do it. But I think it's just to get the mindsets of the people to accept this. This is the world that we live in. We had to take these measures, and I think that's where we're going.
It's also kind of scary, too. Even though what they're doing is harmless, it kind of plants a seed like, oh, shit.
To me, it illustrates the world that we live in now. And it's actually, that scares me. And it seems so normal. Oh, it's just a test. It's odorless. No big deal. But the fact that we had to do these things, and I think there is an agenda here. I think it's to send a message. I mean, that's the vibe I got from this. I mean, when it was announced.
Yeah. What's your take, Reeves? What do you think?
Well, whenever you hear something that someone's gonna do an exercise or anything like that, you always become skeptical as to, is there a motivation behind the motivation to do such a thing? People are just, they've had the Boston bombing. They're still kind of going down that. Now, this fear thing, and this gas is going to be pumped in. What is it? What exactly is it? Why are they doing it? How do I know when they're going to do it? So I don't want to be there when they do it. It's just a fear thing. It's constant. It's a constant battle with the mind. The whole fear, being worried, always constantly worrying that something's going to happen. I'm just very skeptical about these things.
I mean, if you're in New York and you're going to use the subway and you're about to walk into the subway and you see this sign, and the sign has like a skull and crossbones on it, or like a skull, like a death symbol, and saying that we're going to be pumping. Even though it says, this is harmless, you can't smell it, you can't see it, it's not going to hurt you, it's nothing. You're still thinking like, oh shit. It's still kind of fearful. What do you think, Alex?
I'd like to know who's in charge of this, and I'd like to find their address. I'd like to go around to their house and stick a pipe in their window. And this is hypothetically before anyone comes knocking on my door. I'm not going to do any of this. And I'd like to pump. Just 1 minute. I have a lovely phrase here for you: sulfur hexafluoride.
Yeah,
I'd like to pump that into their house because it's colourless, it's odourless, and it's harmless. And so I can't see any reason why they would have any issue with that at all. Who the hell gives anyone the right to do this on a public transport system? Right? I didn't sign any form saying I'll be subjected to colourless, odourless gases. No. Sorry, let's just go back to what's being told to us in the first place. No. As simple as that. No, you don't have a right to do that, in my opinion. Okay? If you want to get a load of soldiers who will sign a test to say they'll be guinea pigs to some experiment and put them through there, fine. But colourless and odourless and harmless, in your definition, not in mine.
So, just to be devil's advocate here, because I kind of agree with you, but what do you think they should do then? Just like shut down the subway for a day or two and just then test it that way, or not, or do it and not tell anyone, or just not do it?
That's a good question. I think there could be some form of compromise for safety. I don't think, personally, that they need to do the test because it doesn't take a genius to work out you've got tunnels, and if you were going to let off some chemical thing in the tunnels with loads of people, they're going to be hurt, aren't they? And it doesn't take a genius to know that if someone is going to do something like that, they can do these things in different places. And I've just had a thought. They have maintenance work and things.
I've just had a thought.
When it's running on the train still.
Your comments right there just gave me a thought. And if you were a terrorist, right? If you were somebody that was going to do something heinous like this and release some gas and kill people. So let's think. If you were going to do that, okay, you'd be like, okay, so I have this gas. This gas is deadly, and I want it to be the most effective that it could possibly be. Now, how am I going to know the best spot to let this off to kill the most amount of people? How am I going to know that without running, say, a kind of test?
Well, I'm going to say those thoughts went through my head when you first played this, because the question I've had in my head for a while is if there was some staged situation which led to martial law, and how widespread this could be, how large could that be manufactured? And it's scary to me. But I'll just say as well, we had similar tests on our underground in 2007.
Oh, you did?
So this isn't new to us. Yeah, and they did the same in... Sorry, I almost knocked my tea over then. That's scary.
Keep that keyboard away.
I mean, this I think has come from... they had a terrorist event in Tokyo back in 1995.
Right.
And... since then, it's been a lot of other tests have come on from there, and obviously things with September the 11th and so on.
Yeah,
it's an expensive test too. Here, $3.4 million. It says here it will cost.
What does the test tell them? That a gas let off in an underground station is a dangerous thing? I mean,
will travel because of a vacuum.
Yeah, we've discovered
to
that.
Stop people using these things. They're going to have special venting systems to remove gases. I mean, I don't quite.
So we ran the test. We ran the test, and our results are that letting a poison gas off in an enclosed area underground is deadly. Thank you. Thank you. That's what we've discovered. Thank you very much. It cost us $3.5 million, but now we have conclusive proof that if we let off a deadly gas in an enclosed space, it'll kill a bunch of people. There you go. Thank you, folks. Next. I mean, come on. It's like, who's this? It's unbelievable. It doesn't make sense to me at all, unless you're a terrorist. And how would I
just want to say briefly, Gareth, I was clicking on the internet, and we had another chemical attack test on the tube in 2003. I mean, these things are quite regular, and I think they're part of our psyche now.
Yeah, but why would you do it regularly? I mean, are they changing the shape of the underground? Are they changing the shape of the tube? I mean, are they destroying it and rebuilding it every 2 years? So they got to run these tests? I mean, how does this work? I mean, they should be able to run the test once, and there you go. Boom, we're done. We know. Next.
Do you know, I think if something did happen, what the major thing would be nothing to do with the tunnels, but the control of people. It would be, in a positive sense, it would be getting people out to safety. So that's really the key thing, how they could control a situation like that, which has nothing to do with where the gas is. It's just being able to control the movement of people.
Mm.
We had a situation in London once where one of the undergrounds caught fire, and one of the main, likely deaths and illness, health things there was the smoke.
Sure, yeah.
And it was basically there wasn't the funding to get the tube centre wasn't upgraded to get rid of smoke well.
Have they since resolved that,
money
though?
On those type of things, in my opinion.
Did they since resolve that, though, and get that fixed, or is it still
in that station? They did, yeah. I mean, some of our stations.
Was that King's Cross when they had that fire?
Yeah,
I
think it was
the King's Cross fire, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few people died as well from smoke inhalation.
Interesting stuff. A little fishy.
Imagine everybody walking around with the gas mask on the subways.
Yeah.
Just
seeing
that.
We mentioned Israel the other day. Yeah, or last time I was here, we talked on that, and there is a fear of chemical attack there, and people would have gas masks. There's been times when they would know where they are. For example, they would know how to tape up your window.
Yeah,
things like that. You'd have procedures for these things, knowing these things. You live in a state of mind like that, where you can do.
Now, I don't want to start another topic because time is running out and we got to wrap it up. But I just want to. I don't know why this whole gas thing just kind of made me think that Fukushima. I've been reading online and different places that the radiation from Fukushima has really fucked up shit in California, and there's been an awful lot of people who have died as a direct result of the radiation that came over here. And I don't really want to open this up to some big, huge conversation, but if anyone... Do you know anything about this at all? I mean...
I haven't heard of...
We've gone full circle back to the cancer, haven't we?
Yeah.
But not the real causes, for example.
But like the food, I've heard stories of people who buy food at like the local farmers markets and everything. You know, they buy Geiger counters now to, you know, if they go to like a farmers market and they buy, you know, apples and oranges and whatever that are grown locally, they test them with a Geiger counter just to be on the safe side.
Wow.
And the Fukushima was what, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I did read something about they.
And I'm just hearing this now, though. You know, I'm just hearing about this now.
Yeah, the radiation would be subsided a lot more than what it has. It hasn't really subsided at all. It's just as bad as it was when it happened.
Yeah, I think it's very dangerous to see it as being 2 years ago. That's when the explosion happened, but there's been a continual leak of radiation.
A slow release from the reactors.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you could have a silly example I can have in mind. I'll give you 2 biscuits, Gareth. Okay, 2 biscuits. Biscuits as in cookies, yeah?
Yeah.
Biscuits will be quite nice and tasty. You can handle those, right? I'll give you 2 more.
Okay.
And every day I'll just put 2 more on you and 2 more on you and 2 more on you.
Yeah.
If you're going to eat them, for example, you're going to find that it's having a bigger effect on you, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah, just to have 2 biscuits is nothing, and that's what they'll tell you, that 2 biscuits or 2 becquerels or whatever of of radiation is fine for you.
Well,
but if you have that every day being pumped at you...
Exactly. It's like smoking. If you were to smoke one cigarette a week for the rest of your life, it's not going to do nothing to you. Nothing.
Yeah, but we're told this was 2 years ago when it happened. No, it's been continual all the time, and all that water radiation is coming, straight across to California.
And it's apparently Hawaii is really being hit hard, and California, especially Northern California, for some reason, they're getting slammed by it. But the scary thing is that none of this is on mainstream media. Do you
remember when it blew up and we saw the fuel rods that were stored on top being blown up into the air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like ludicrous what we were told. I mean, even in the basic understanding of these things, that there's huge amounts of radiation were released, and that radiation didn't just stay in the same place.
Right. And the thing that I heard was that there's a radiation cloud that was released from Fukushima that circles the Earth every 45 days. So it's affecting not just California; it's affecting the tons of all the world basically. It drifts around the world. It does a complete circle of the world every 45 days. So
how long will that stay up there?
I don't know. And
that'll be.
They say that when it's
a long time.
They say that when the cloud is at its most deadliest and will affect most people, it's gonna settle right over Tampa in Florida.
Oh no!
And, I'm kidding. Just kidding. But
it probably hasn't coming over here. That's the ultimate chemtrail.
Yeah, it's right. It's a good one. The ultimate chemtrail. The ultimate Fukushima chemtrail. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up.
It's gonna set over in London.
I know. Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up for this week. It's been another great show. Thank you so much for taking part. Great conversations, great news, lots of fun, lots of info. Thank you all very much. And thank you guys for listening and coming into the chat room and listening live. Really appreciate it. Let's see where everyone can be discovered. Joe, where can you be found on the internet?
Right over at mindsetcentral.com and get it Mindset Radio Hour. Episode 36,
brand new one. Brand new one just came out this weekend. Some great tunes, including a couple of tunes from our own Joe Ressington. So go ahead and check that out for sure. And obviously, Joe Dunn is out and about trailblazing every week. And check out his YouTube channel. He's got a ton of videos up there, which he's posting constantly. Am I right, Joe?
Yeah, go to youtube.com/FL Trailblazer.
Excellent.
Weekly, man, putting stuff up.
Awesome. And Reeves, where can you be found?
MindsetCentral.com, Paratalk, and paranorm.info, but mainly Paratalk for the time being.
Yep, and we get some great new shows coming out every Wednesday. There's a new episode of Paratalk, so stay tuned for that. And finally, Alex, where can you be found on the internet?
I guess people can still see me or hear me on Mindset Central, range of shows, and alexfate.com. Or if you fancy one of my own podcasts, video type things, check me out on YouTube, Alex Fate. Just look up Alex Fate. The last one I did was called Crazy People, Bread and You.
And that was a good one. I enjoyed that one.
Thank you.
Very good. And it's Alex Fate 101, right?
It's both, in fact.
Oh, okay.
You can just go to Alex Fate and find me.
I didn't know that. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And we will be back next week with more topics, more discussions, and more news. But until then, farewell, good brothers.